Hi, how are you? I'm Jason Gilbert. I'm a sports practitioner with the World Surfing League. If you've been following me for a little while now, you would have noticed that I have been interviewing surfers that I admire, that I work with, and passing on what's working for them in regards to health to you. Now, in this interview, I'm going to have a great chat with Nathan Florence, someone that we're all aware of if we're following big wave surfing, but also something that a lot of us aren't aware of is how dedicated to health and fitness Nathan is. And recently he had an accident at Jaws, which he explains in the video, where he had a compression fracture of one of his dorsal vertebra. And I'm certain that a lot of what he'll talk about to you guys and what he implements in his life are the reasons why he recovered so fast. So in the time that I was in Hawaii, not long after the injury, he was already, in a matter of weeks, back training. Okay, now I really admire Nathan in regards to his knowledge about health, his logical approach to dealing with the very few injuries that he's had, and you'll see, and I'm sure relate to, his mindset and philosophy around health that allows him not only to surf really well, but I'm sure enjoy every aspect of his life to the fullest extent. Hope you enjoy it. Nathan Florence.
Yes.
Mate, thank you for your time.
No worries. Thanks for having me.
Mate, what I'm loving about these videos is that people who'll be watching this are getting information that isn't that accessible in regards to health, spinal care, what you're doing after an injury and all that sort of stuff, mate. So can we start first with your recent injury?
Yep.
Probably one of, you probably had heaps, but the one that stood out most. Talk us through how that happened, mate.
Yeah, no, I'll start from the beginning. And for one thing, like I don't have many big injuries. Like,
right, okay.
Never had a big injury, actually. Or one, I blew my knee out like maybe 6 years ago. And this kind of leads into this injury.
Sure.
Around 6-7 years ago, I blew my knee out. I tore my meniscus and my MCL, like a grade 3 tear. It wasn't disconnected, but it was torn pretty bad. And the doctor was like, oh, you can go surgery or you could try to heal it on your own. And it gave me the option. I talked to a few people and they were all like, no one was like, you should do surgery or you should heal. And they were like, yeah, you could just try heal it or you could do surgery. I just made the call. I was like, I'd never gotten surgery in my life. So I was like, I'm going to heal it on my own.
Awesome.
And went all in. Right away, the first thing was like, they're like, don't put any weight, no pressure, nothing. The person I talked to, my leg atrophied like crazy. Like the muscle just melted away. And I was just like, you know what? Like, screw that. Like, if there's no muscle, there's nothing to protect that healing ligament. So I just was like, I wasn't in a PT. I just took it upon myself. Like, I'm doing my own PT.
So it's logic.
Yeah. I was like, that makes no sense. If there's no muscle, there's nothing to protect and stabilize the knee. Like, screw it. I'm going to do my own PT.
Yeah.
So here at the gym, like we're at now, I started my own PT. And they told me everything. Don't lift weights. Don't do this. And all I did was go, if I can do it without pain, then I'll do it. And so in the beginning, it was just literally quarter squats, like a 6-inch squat, nothing to parallel, nowhere, just until it hurt.
Sure.
Tons of reps of those.
Love it. Just using your common sense.
Yeah. Holding on to something, doing one-legged reps. And it was crazy. It was like within a week, my knee was feeling better, stronger. The muscle was starting to come back. And I got way more range of motion. Fast forward 3-4 weeks. And I was doing full range of motion squats, below parallel, still at body weight, but higher rep. And my knee was feeling better, and all the muscle had come back. Fast forward another 2 months, my legs were bigger than they'd ever been. Like, my quads, like, developed massively. Like, I was doing weighted back squat, weighted front squat. I was doing deadlifts, straight leg deadlifts, kettlebell swings. I was doing isolation work, one-legged pistol squats, everything. I thought would make the legs strong on their own, strong together, everything developed. I never did surgery. To this day, I have 0 restricted mobility in the knee. I have 0 pain.
Really?
I have nothing.
Wow. Have you ever done a comparative MRI?
No, I didn't. I should.
Sure.
That would be cool to see.
Yeah.
And on top of that, I got my supplements, like my vitamins in line, and I had this supplement list that I was taking that I still use, like in this injury now, this most recent one. I use that now. But
Can
it was
you
basically,
share that with me? Yeah.
Glucosamine,
Yep.
MSM, Wobenzyme. I don't know.
Wobenzyme, no,
Have you heard
never
of
heard
this?
of that.
Wobenzyme's super interesting. So this comes from someone, me and a couple buddies had asked about an injury. I forget the guy's name, but he sent this list and he gave this breakdown. And Wobenzyme was one of the most interesting to me because it's a probiotic kind of thing,
Right.
type of probiotic from what I know. But he was like, not many people notice the benefit of this specific probiotic thing is it actually can go into your body and eat scar tissue.
Right,
Like it eats
okay,
away,
yes,
it metabolizes
yes, okay.
scar tissue.
Sure.
And he's like, take as much as you can.
Yeah.
So obviously with certain supplements, fish oils and something like a probiotic, like you start big, you're going to feel the shock on your body.
Yeah,
like,
sure.
You're going to shit yourself. Like,
Yeah.
you got to go to the bathroom.
Yeah, exactly.
Like weird
But
thing.
not with enzymes.
Yeah, and so built up like a bit of a tall.
Oh, you build up. Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
no, I took a bunch at first, and
Sure.
my stomach was like, "Whoa, what did you
okay,
do?" It's just not used to all that, like, So
And I guess if it's chewing it up, you've got to remove it as well. Don't
yeah, exactly. And so I built up a tolerance where I was taking a ton, and I had heard that fish oils, like, they were like, "Oh, there's the recommended dose," but if you get clean fish oils from a trusted
you?
brand,
Totally.
know where it's sourced. It was
Sure.
super important.
That's really important.
Yeah, because you can get fish oil that's pretty rank.
High and heavy metal content.
Yes,
yeah.
exactly. So
I actually work with krill for that reason because
Yeah.
krill feed on phytoplankton, so it's guaranteed that they don't eat other fish.
yeah, it's important.
But as you said, if you're familiar with the source, or you research that, it's important. People make investments not only monetarily but also in time and their health.
Yep.
And if you're taking a bad fish oil, forget about it. So, mate, the recommendation: look, 1,000 milligrams. We know it's nowhere near what it should be. What were you
taking
taking?
5,000.
Yeah, that's what I'm taking every day.
I was taking 5. So the guy was like, hit 5 grams.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, like okay, got my tolerance up to where I could. It was just more just spacing throughout the day. I wasn't taking 5 grams in one dose. For me personally, I would just shit it out.
Yeah.
But I would take like 2 times a day. Fish oils max. I was taking cod liver oil too.
As well.
Vitamin-rich butter oil.
Sure.
They come together. There's this brand that I use. I still take those to this day. And I was taking that supplement stack. And basically the whole plan was like, make the surrounding muscles and tissues as strong as they possibly can be without like injuring more the thing that's
The
injured.
tissue, yeah.
And once it has this big built-up structure around it, it can do its thing and
Mate, I
heal
love
without
that
any
shit.
pressure
I
on
love
it.
it.
Common sense. Give your body everything it needs to heal it. Vitamins and supplements and good food and good health and nutrition. And your body has every tool it needs to go in and heal. I super healed this thing. And I've never had an issue from it since then. And never had an injury because I've just trained and taken care of my body. And,
Sure.
and it's part of it's luck for what I do.
Yeah.
I surf a lot of risky waves.
Yeah.
But I 100% believe I've had a few slams where had I not been on top of the lifting and the training like I was, I think I would have broken.
Right. You just answered the question I was going to ask you.
Prehab, I call it.
Sure.
Everyone talks about
Rehab.
doing the right rehab and post-injury.
Yeah,
I'm like, what about pre-injury?
Exactly.
Are you not going to prep
Perfect.
your body?
I love it.
And so I've always taken that into account, and people will train up to a season or train into an event, and I'm like, no, you train year round. Like, you train year round, you always are on top of it. There's like, I get like scaling up to an event and then peaking and
Sure.
and being to where you're most fit and recovered, that for sure. But I train year round. I want to always be healthy. I don't want anything to like have to reset and then train into one specific event. I want to be ready at all
Sure.
times.
Or imagine suffering an injury and it's always in your mind. Or what if that was preventable?
Yeah,
If I was more
exactly.
prepared,
You
who
never
wants
want to
that?
have that. And it's something you can control.
Exactly.
It's in your control. And there's plenty of stuff that we can't control. So why not control what you can?
Totally, mate. I love it. You're speaking my language. Mate, another thing is that through training, it improves our focus, concentration, memory, everything. Has that, firstly, I won't speak for you, but is that a benefit you notice?
Yes.
And has that helped you surfing big waves?
100%. So training has become, so I really, really got heavy into it from an injury, but what it became was far different. It was something I needed to do a lot just for mental clarity, mental happiness. I had something outside of surfing and my career in surfing that I could have goals I was driving towards. Could I lift more faster for longer? Could I get a better run time, a better row time? Was I getting more fit on land? You know, like those specific, having small goals outside of your main career choice, I think is super important. Because when the waves go away, if you don't have anything, you're kind of just lost in la la land. You could mentally spiral pretty quickly.
Yeah.
But yeah, leading back into the mental stuff, like I've always believed that you can train willpower, and by doing things that are difficult but you can control. And so a lot of my training and workouts are often devised around how much pain and torture can we put ourselves through? Like, how bad can we make this hurt? How far into, like, I really don't want to be here, but I'm going to finish anyway?
I get it, because I've trained with you years ago and I was here and I've watched you train.
Yeah.
And all of these years that I've seen you on videos here, there, and everywhere, I'm like, man, it's paying off.
Yeah, and so for me, that makes it makes tough decisions really easy. Not that I have tough decisions, but there are times when I'm like, the fear is what I do. Fear is a huge part of it, and it takes willpower to overcome the fear to get to the goal you're striving for.
Sure.
Right? For what I do is I want to be the best big wave surfer in the world. What's between me and that?
Sure.
Well, the fear of dying.
Right.
Because I have to push on these big waves, and having total control of your willpower, it helps in these workouts to learn, like, everything's screaming stop, 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 but you know you're okay. No, I'm going to keep going. Okay. I'm going to finish. Ignoring that little part, like, okay, you keep screaming over there.
Yeah.
I'll be here, keeping going. Push it to the side. Compartmentalize.
And mate, okay, so that's one aspect, but dealing with that fear, is there anything else like meditation or breath work that you've done that's helped as well?
Yeah, a lot of people do that. I'm not one that does
it.
For me, the training is the meditation.
That's it? Awesome.
It is the thing that clears my head more than anything. I can just zero in and just focus solely on getting through what I'm doing. And it's always been that way for me.
So in your case, I imagine also from observing and training you that the aerobic benefits, I imagine, have helped you numerous times when you've had long hold downs. Does that help you get on top of the fear as well, knowing that, hey, I've got this?
I've always been a proponent of adrenaline is the most powerful. I don't know if it's a hormone or whatever. I think it's a hormone, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Adrenaline is so insane in what you're able to achieve on it. And for me, it's always been like, it's really hard to prepare for how you're going to feel or react or think really high on adrenaline. And I've always relied heavy on that guy I am, high on adrenaline, is the best, fastest, strongest version of myself. Yeah. He knows what to do.
Okay. So interesting. So that puts you in the zone.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
You present.
Complete present moment, complete focused survival assassin.
Sure. Is that peak only obtained in those conditions, or is there something you do in the gym to get you close to it? Or is it only something that really you can experience?
There's nothing quite like the clarity of your life and everything on the line, and you go into a mode of instinctual reaction to survive that situation. Nothing like that, but the clarity, blankness of suffering through some really hard workout, I find is close, and more so after the huge release of endorphins, healthy endorphins, like not how a drug would bring you up and give you the come down. Right? A workout doesn't do that. You just feel good after. You feel happy. You feel like you achieved something for the day, and so does that feeling is also the same with surfing big waves. Except I would say actually, like, on some of those really peaked adrenalines, there is a big come down.
Really?
Yeah. Not often discussed, but for sure, there's like 2 or 3 days of come down.
So the peak's that high.
Mm-hmm. You come down, and I've always been able to come out of that come down by going straight back in the gym.
Right. Okay. Mm-hmm. What do you think that'll look like if you didn't?
You can get pretty low, I think.
Really?
You get that chase mentality, which can be risky. You know, if you start looking. I mean, if you're not training like I do, I know a lot of people will find that partying. some of the gnarliest guys I know in big waves are also some of the most hectic partiers I've ever seen in my life. So
they're trying to keep the peak up now.
You have to direct that back into the gym.
No, that's awesome. And being conscious, this is what we see all the time. If we're conscious around health and focus on the right thing, wow, anything's possible.
Yeah,
Mate, sure. Fast forward to about a month ago now, Jaws?
Yeah. A month ago, Jaws. I had one of my biggest injuries I've ever had, and the first in a very long time, compression fracture of my T12. Basically, in a mild way, break my back at Jaws.
Did you have an idea while you were going through that, hey, this is big, this is different to other falls I've had? Or
for sure.
Yeah, you did.
I knew immediately when I fell through the barrel and I did this big drop in the air. I'd been there before in that fall.
Sure.
On a 20-foot wave at Jaws. I'd been in that situation, and I'd always come out unscathed, if just sore, tweaked a little bit. But as soon as I impacted on my back, I felt not an explosion, but I felt a crack in my back, and it was instantaneous, like big pain, like 9 pain. And I just know from big slams and big falls what's like feels, oh, I'll be fine, that's going to be sore tomorrow. And what this was just way different than that. My first immediate thought was I broke my back. And usually I'm not like that.
Sure.
You know? I'm not like I snapped something. Sure. I'm like, oh, that'll be sore. I was like, I broke my back. And then like the mid back so pinpointed was just flared. And I had never broken a bone in my life. Ever.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So I was like, I kept telling my wife, I'm like, can you believe it? I've never broken a bone. And she would get so mad. Don't say that. Don't say that. She's like, knock on wood. I'm like, no, like, I literally think
one of the worst.
I know, and I kept telling her, I was like, I literally think I'm built different. Like, are my bones
You're arrogant about
it? Totally. She was like, don't say it. Look what happens. I freaking break the worst break of all time. Wow. Like, break my back.
So, mate, was there anything about the actual position you're in?
Yeah,
when you fell?
I was hunched forward.
Okay. Yeah.
And I was trying to pull, and I was falling this way, and I was hunched forward. That was what was so weird, is I've been bent backwards in wipeouts.
Like a scorpion?
Like a scorpion. Yeah. And when I bent backwards, I felt my lower back muscles protect the spine. Like I felt the muscles go like boom and flex, and I've been sore. But a few times where I was like, oh, if I hadn't had such a strong developed lower back, I thought I would have broken it. This was different because I folded this way.
Do you think that was because you're trying to?
Yeah, I was trying to like pull, and I just wasn't. You know what? I just completely I should have been way more into the wipeout versus the pool.
Sure. I
underestimated how far I was falling. I should have turned. Usually, like you can turn. You know, you can turn, choose where you land. I've done that landing on the reef at pipe 100 times. Because I'm flying headfirst that way.
Sure.
Pivot you're underwater, so
sure.
you can use your body to turn and land it on my hands and knees. I didn't do that because Jaws is just so big and intense. You want to get that pull, and all I'm thinking about is pull quick, inflate, get up, and get back out and get another wave. But this was just like I landed hunched forward, and it compressed me forward. Everything, my whole back went like boom, boom, and it just went pop, and so. It was just such an awkward way to fall, and I did a systems check underwater. Like, okay, wait, I feel my legs. I have no tingling. I'm not paralyzed. Like, I didn't break my back. Like, I tweaked it bad. That was okay. It was just a scare. Because I just thought, like, if you break your back, you know, you're
probably won't be able to move. You won't be able to feel your feet.
That's what I thought. Sure. There's just varying
degrees, isn't there?
Yeah. And as soon as I got rescued, I took another big wave on the head, and I got rescued. And the whole time my board was just yanking around on my leg. And I was like thinking like, if it is broken, like I'm hoping nothing like shifts.
Because
that was a huge worry. I was like, if my back is broken, like I don't want something to pull and move. And nothing like that happened. I get up on the sled and I kind of got into all fours. And when I got into that and my back actually went under from tension from like a floating to like out of water, gravity hits.
And then you feel
just seized up.
Yes, yeah.
Both muscles, like
I've had the same thing happen. It's just incredible how fast your muscles protect you.
Yeah,
and that's a healthy reflex in the brain.
100%.
Trying to protect the.
They're like, stop moving.
Yeah,
and that's what happened. I was like, oh, like the guy's like, are you good? I'm like, oh, I tweaked my back. Like, let me sit on the boat for a little bit. thinking just arrogantly, like, just no experience from being no injuries for so long. Like, I'll give it 20 and I'll go back out. Dude, 20 minutes later,
right.
I'm like this. I was stuck in like this position, like hunched forward. I was like, I need someone to take me in. Like, I can't. My body had stiffened so much I couldn't like move properly. Not like I've been a paralyzer, but I was just stiff. I was like,
It's actually fascinating, isn't it? What's happening? You're like, I've got no control.
yeah. I was like, can you please take me in? And the water safety is so good out there. They have such a good team. And Andrea, one of the drivers, Curtis was who saved me. Andrea, she was like, I'll take you in, because I had swam out through the shore break and I could not swim back.
No way.
I couldn't move. And she drove me in real gently, and I just like kind of hunched, and I got picked up. A week later, get some scans, and
Took a week.
yeah, it took a while because I called my doctor, and he's like, pointed, and I kind of just pointed the area and got a scan, but he thought I pointed lower back. Scan too low.
Okay.
Missed the T12.
Sure.
And I get the X-ray back, and they're like, "You're fine. Like, there's nothing wrong."
Sure.
I'm like, "Really? Like, maybe I did just tweak it." And I was taking a ton of Advil. It was masking the pain major. So I was like, I need to get a grip on what's going on, like pain-wise. I stopped taking it, and I went to sleep, and I woke up in the middle of the night just in major pain. And it was about 3 days of like really restricted movement. Couldn't sit up out of bed, couldn't do a sit-up, couldn't lay on my stomach. Had to like do a weird side get up because of just any engagement of those back muscles would just flare. And I'm like, something is wrong. Like, I need to get an MRI. Call, I'm like, hey, I schedule an MRI, get an MRI. And the radiologist actually missed it again. The radiologist goes, nothing wrong. And it was just at the very top of the screen.
Sure.
Again, they MRI, but they looked too low visually. At the top of the MRI, it gets sent to a back specialist, and he calls and goes, what the hell? Is it broken back? Like,
Did he use that terminology?
Yeah, he was like, whoa. Like, no, he's got to come in right away. We got to do more scans. Like, he has a compression fracture for sure on his T12. Like, come back in.
They would have been worried about the relationship with that and the spinal cord for sure.
Yep. And he was like,
so just to explain that, guys, compression fracture of T12, we've got, almost a square vertebra, and when it's compressed, it's not a fracture like breaking, let's say, your arm or leg where it might snap. This is a compression, so those forces actually compress the bone, and there's degrees of luck involved, okay, where it can be slightly compressed or extremely compressed.
Yeah. And so he was like, you didn't lose any height, where I guess some people literally...
They do.
They lose like
sometimes
half an inch of height.
Like a wedge.
Yeah, I'm like, thank goodness I didn't lose any height. Like, he was like, and when I went in, he's like, look, best case scenario, no disc damage, no pressure on the spine, nothing on the nerve. Muscularly, you look okay. It's just compression fracture in the thing, like nothing to do but heal. And I was like, immediately, what training can I do? Yeah. And then he was like, kind of just said, if it doesn't hurt, you're probably okay. No heavy lifting, no surfing.
Probably tending towards more conservative movements and stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure. And then,
and I guess avoiding the risk of worsening it.
Yeah,
surfing and having
exactly. And so,
sorry, mate, but by that time, were you more mobile? Were you less restricted?
Around day 5 or 6, I started to get everything back.
Right.
And I had stopped taking the Advil completely. I never took it again after the first 2 days because I just wanted to keep a sense on if I was getting better or worse. Didn't want anything to mask it. And day 6, 7, I started being able to like sit up out of bed with pain, but better and better. And I realized it was getting better when sneezes were not the end of me. Because I sneezed on day 3.
Sneezing.
Oh my god, man! I almost fainted.
Or going to the toilet if you need to force it on the toilet as well. So if this happens to any of you guys, eat foods that you digest easily and you don't have to force it.
Don't sneeze.
Don't sneeze as well. Don't be around anyone that makes you laugh.
No.
Did you laugh at it?
Yeah, I stayed in my chair. I said, don't bother me.
And mate, so, okay, back to exercise. How's it been? Because it's a very short amount of time. You're almost ready to surf again. What have you done?
I've been probably like doing more than any doctor would have suggested.
Sure.
And I just pushed the limit of what hurts, what doesn't.
Yeah.
And I started that with just so simple, riding a stationary bike. Okay, ride a stationary bike, that feels good. Okay, can I sprint on the stationary bike? Oh, I can sprint on the stationary bike.
Back to the logic again.
Yep. Can I do a push-up? Nope, can't do a push-up.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll try that again in a week. Can I do kettlebell swings? Oh, I can kind of do some kettlebell swings.
Okay.
Yeah. Started to do
Surprising.
kettlebell swings. Started to do the assault bike. Okay, that feels good. Can I do burpees around day like 15?
Oh, burpees, that's ambitious.
Yeah, it was. It was, but I could do them. And then just like, I just started training. I could do thrusters, so squat and a press, real controlled, real slow.
Sure.
And nothing was like crazy fast.
Exactly, and lighter weights, I guess,
Yeah.
too. And, you know, what I will say is that we worked on you about, what, 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
Which was, what, 2 weeks, 3 weeks after the injury?
Yeah, and I had so much stiffness built up in the muscle. Remember I was telling you,
Yes.
I was like, it doesn't feel like the bone, it feels like around
Muscle,
it. And the trauma, I think, and after that,
Yeah.
working out felt way better. Because
So-
those muscles like released.
Exactly.
And then they were like allowed
Yeah.
to work again.
And guys, this isn't rocket science. Once again, it's logic.
Yeah.
Okay. In an injury, your brain intelligently shuts it down. It wants to restrict any possibility of damaging the spinal cord. All we did is, it's like coming along. Okay, the bandage is ready to remove from let's say a sprained knee. You know, so we just remove it. That's what we do when we do that deep soft tissue work. And I did notice with you, mate, that the muscle tone was awesome. It was protective, obviously. And we worked through it. You know,
Yeah.
bit by bit, you go stronger. It's like working through the layers of an onion, let's say, many layers. You've got to pull
Mhm.
each layer off to get to the part you want. But, mate, I was surprised, and this is actually proof to what you're doing and how effective it is for overall health and mobility, the fact that we did it once.
Yeah.
And, you know, you've been exercising and everything else. So
Yeah.
it's back to that prehab, isn't it?
It really
It's
is.
prehab.
Yeah. And it's the prehab, and just when you start to work out a ton and you learn your body, you learn the keen sense
Sure.
of what's not okay, what's okay, how does it feel today. And so just after we did the work, I knew that little nagging ache was gone. I said, "Oh, they're free. They want to get some blood flow." I think
Okay, yeah.
I'll start doing some. Doing some action on them. I'll start doing some GHD sit-ups and back
Burpees.
extensions. Yeah, and yeah. Fast forward to
Awesome.
now. I just a few days ago. Just like I was telling you right before, like I did find a ceiling on the training. I did find.
That's right, yeah. What was that?
It was I just was starting to think, I'm healed. Like,
Okay.
this thing is good to go. And I'm going to do this workout with a couple of buddies. And it was just really back heavy workout. It was pulling on the ski erg. There was kettlebell swings. There was rowing. There was burpees. And there was a salt bike.
Ambitious.
And there was pull-ups. And so
Your brain's coming and going, not ready. So what did you feel actually? Just
it was really interesting. So it was like it was a 32-minute workout, and there was just different stations, and I got to the last station, which was rowing and burpees. And on the row, I just started to feel a similar stiffness and tightening of those same muscles that had protected me before and stiffened up.
Sure.
I felt them starting to flare up.
Yes.
And then I was like, is that a muscle burn in my back, or is that the injury? And I gave it a little bit longer, and I was like, no, that's not right. Like,
Yeah.
they're still being
Exactly.
protective. And so instead of like forcing them into overdrive, I just said, oh, I'm done.
Yeah.
And
So it's
everyone
back
else
to that
finished it
analogy
up.
with the onion.
Yeah.
You'd removed a few layers, but there's still a few more to remove.
Yeah. And so I just.
So what about stretching though? Like yoga, stretching, anything else that?
Yeah, I've been just started stretching because I was, you know what, like, I felt this feeling of like I had to crack my back, like that nagging thing. And then that was really just me being afraid to stretch and being like a little bit of contortion and can I rotate? And I just tentatively started to go into that and kind of experiment with no pain. And so I've started stretching again
Awesome.
just in the last 3 days.
Yeah, so good.
And it's helped a ton because I was training and I wasn't really able to stretch proper, and I was just kind of getting stiff, like not even around the injury, but my hips and my quads and my IT bands, like all that stuff for me.
Yeah, stretching's so important.
Yeah.
It's easy to bypass.
It is, and that's always been an issue with me is if it's boring, I'm never consistent with it.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
I'm so inconsistent with it. If it excites me, I can do it. And so my training always is revolved around what can I convince myself to stay most consistent in and get the most value out of. Because I think consistency is huge.
Sure.
If you're going to do something once and not do it for a month, then find something that you're excited to do. And then maybe you got a couple of buddies doing it.
So true.
You build a little like community around the training.
You push each other.
Exactly.
You have to show up.
Excited to go show up.
Sure.
And you're excited to progress above them, or they beat you in a workout, and you're like, no, I'm gonna like dial in some nutrition thing. I'm gonna get fitter than them. Like that's always been it for me.
Exactly. Yeah.
I've gone through so many training partners over the years as people get really psyched and then they fizzle out and I find a new victim. I bring them in and they burn out and I get a new victim in different training groups.
I mean, it's going to mention also to the stretching. What I've noticed, I don't know whether you can relate to this, but let's say you're doing a deadlift, and you can accentuate the stretch. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of functional stuff that we do in the gym where you get strengthening and stretching at the same time.
Yeah.
So don't categorize and think, it's either slow stretching in yoga or gym. You can combine both. You can get the benefits of strengthening, and stretching in something you love doing.
So to your point, I literally just today, for the first time, did really light, straight-legged barbell deadlifts, and just the bar.
Great.
And it was just like you said, I could feel the muscles being worked, but I could feel my hamstrings getting the stretch they needed. Like, just simple, clean, good form, and it was just exactly that. It was like a little bit of strength with a little bit of stretching.
Sure. Mate, I learned that after spinal surgery, and I always judge deadlifts and squats as being detrimental to the spine. And you know what? When I went back to light weights doing it and discovered, my God, I can touch my toes and in a certain position, you're like, wow, I'm strong and flexible. And then I increased the weights a little bit. You realize, no, I was wrong, very wrong in judging it.
It gets a bad rep because it's so easy to put ego into lifting.
It is, isn't it?
It's just a thing of maybe built into us internally. I want to lift the heaviest thing, but there is a form to it. Like I studied years. I had a few different trainers, but I studied YouTube and a lot of the Chinese Olympic lifters, because those guys are crazy perfectionists on the form, the Olympians, all the Olympians from all different countries. I studied them and their lifting and how they would do their exercises, because those guys are such a high priority on form because they know it's the most efficient way to lift the most weight.
Exactly.
And so I was like, I'm never going to be someone walks in the gym and sees me lifting and they're like, oh my God.
Look at his form,
yeah, like it's horrible.
Yes.
So I was always like really worried about that. So I always just kept in my lane of what can I lift with the best form. And when I max out, it's probably not a max out on the most I could lift. It's the max out on the most I could lift with good form. As soon as the form breaks down, I stop.
That's exactly right. That's such good advice. Really good. Because as soon as you deviate, you're running the risk of injuries that occur at the time, or injuries that become chronic and shorten your longevity doing what you love,
Yes.
Mate, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
As I started saying before, that I think it was 4 or 5 years ago, I was staying here at Kai's place and, training with you and watching you train. And throughout the years, just making that relationship about what you're doing in big waves and your training. So I feel fortunate to be able to follow it through and relate it to that recent injury.
Yes.
And happily pass that info on for you guys. The prehab, that's such an important piece of advice.
It is totally. And I love it. We're both just such nerds about it. Like,
Yes.
I'd love to geek out on this stuff because it's so beneficial.
It is so.
It's great for people. We put in the time. We learn certain specific little things. You guys can take that home. Put it
for sure
into your own training. If you're recovering from an injury, add little things in, prehab, all that stuff. So yeah.
And mate, interestingly, just on the last little note, that Harvard years ago, not many years ago, maybe 5-7 years ago, did a study that showed an investment in health gave a 2,000% return. How's that? So what wouldn't you invest in if it was going to give you 2,000% return on your money? What's the number one cause of bankruptcy? Okay, health problems. Paying for cancer, paying for avoidable health problems.
That's
so
insane.
Prehab which we could also include in prehab diet,
Yeah,
supplementation,
100%.
right diet,
Definitely.
training. Look at the return on your money. And it doesn't always have to be financial. We're talking about training. That's an investment in time. So, mate, thanks once again for highlighting it. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
You.
Easy, man.
After watching that video, I'm sure that you can now relate to how excited I was to pass it on to you guys and what I was saying about Nathan's level of knowledge when it comes to health. It's really important, guys. We're not born with this knowledge. So if we can acquire this throughout our lives through books and these days podcasts and so much access to information, as well as listening to people like Nathan and other successful athletes, we can apply that to our own lives and benefit enormously. Okay, our health is the most important thing we possess. Okay, but it's up to us to acquire that knowledge along the way so that we can invest in it being as good as possible for as long as possible, and indirectly being able to practice all the things that we love in our life, such as surfing, such as other sports, such as the ability to exercise, which makes us happy and healthy as well. Okay, so if you're enjoying this, please pass it on to your friends. And also sign up to my YouTube channel where I've got lots of information about health and spinal care, always going out on a weekly basis. All the best.